In this video, we will discuss the morphological features of fatty liver disease. So let's start. For morphological features of alcoholic and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the keywords are accumulation of fat in hepatocytes, cause cell damage and inflammation, and the long-term inflammation results in fibrosis. So the first keyword is accumulation of fat in hepatocytes. This translates into our first stage, that is hepatocellular steatosis. So accumulation of fat in hepatocytes is known as hepatocellular steatosis, and this is the earliest change in fatty liver disease. The second keyword phrase is cell damage and inflammation. So this is characterized by a stage of steatohepatitis. In steatohepatitis, itis means inflammation. The third keyword is that the long-term inflammation results in fibrosis, and this stage is known as steatofibrosis. So in fatty liver disease, we have three types of alterations, that are hepatocellular steatosis, steatohepatitis, and steatofibrosis. Now let's start with our earliest change, that is hepatocellular steatosis. Hepatocellular steatosis, as the name implies, is the accumulation of fat in the hepatocytes. And as the fat does not get stained on H&E staining, so this fat appears as an empty cytoplasm, that is an area of vacuole. And these fat-filled vacuoles can be small in size, that are known as microvesicular, or they can be large in size, that are known as macrovesicular. In macrovesicular pattern, where the fatty droplets are large in size or fatty vacuoles are large in size, they cause swelling of cell, and these large vacuoles push the nucleus to the side. For example, you can see here the nucleus has been pushed to the side. Such pattern is known as macrovesicular. So remember that these fatty vacuoles can be small, microvesicular, or large, macrovesicular. Now the pattern of hepatocellular steatosis is such that it first occurs around the central vein. For example, this is the central vein. So firstly, this change will be present around the central vein. Then as the condition progresses, this change of hepatocellular steatosis is apparent even in the mid-lobule. So here, the hepatocellular steatosis will appear. And as the condition progresses, this hepatocellular steatosis can be present in the periportal areas also. Periportal areas means around the portal tracts that are present at the corner of these hepatocyte lobules. So we can say that this change of hepatocellular steatosis spreads from the center of the hepatic lobule towards the periphery of the hepatocytic lobule. Now this hepatocellular steatosis is followed by steatohepatitis. Steatohepatitis means cell injury and inflammation in the hepatocytes. Now in steatohepatitis, you see three characteristic changes. The first change is foci of hepatocytic ballooning. What does it mean? Ballooning means that the cells become swollen. And why do they become swollen? Because whenever there is accumulation of fat in the liver, then the accumulation of fat causes cell injury, and the cell injury causes cytotoxic edema. So due to the cytotoxic edema, the cells become swollen. So the cells swollen up with edema and the large fatty vacuoles appear as ballooning. So we call this phenomenon as hepatocytic ballooning. And as the cell undergo further damage, this hepatocytic ballooning can progress to necrosis. So remember, in steatohepatitis, you see ballooned hepatocytes or you see necrosed hepatocytes. And these changes of hepatocyte ballooning and necrosis are most prominent in centrilobular region. You know that when we studied the stage of hepatocellular steatosis, we discussed that earliest change is around the central veins. So here, the most prominent change of this hepatocytic ballooning and necrosis is also in the centrilobular region. Secondly, this stage of steatohepatitis is characterized by Mallory-Dank bodies. These Mallory-Dank bodies are eosinophilic cytoplasmic inclusions, just like this. So you can see here in the cytoplasm of cell there is an eosinophilic inclusion that is known as Mallory-Dank body. And these Mallory-Dank bodies are due to the accumulations of intermediate filaments including the keratins. So what happens is that during the process of cell injury, the intermediate filaments become tangled together to form these eosinophilic inclusions that are known as Mallory-Dank bodies. So remember, in fatty liver disease, in the stage of steatohepatitis, you can see these Mallory-Dank bodies. Now in steatohepatitis, the third characteristic change is neutrophilic infiltration around the degenerated hepatocytes. You know that itis means inflammation. So other than these 2 points regarding cell injury, there is inflammation or there is infiltration of these inflammatory cells also. So you see neutrophilic infiltration. And along with these neutrophils, lymphocytes and macrophages may be seen, but the most predominant cells here are neutrophils. Now this is a very important point. Why? Because it is in contrast with what we studied in viral hepatitis. You know that when we discussed the topics of viral hepatitis, we studied that even in acute viral hepatitis and in chronic viral hepatitis, the most predominant inflammatory cells are mononuclear cells that are lymphocytes and macrophages. But here in fatty liver disease, the most predominant inflammatory cells are neutrophils. So remember this point. So overall, the stage of steatohepatitis is characterized by foci of hepatocytic ballooning that progress to necrosis. You see Mallory Dank bodies that are eosinophilic cytoplasmic inclusions made of intermediate filaments, and you see neutrophilic infiltration around the degenerated hepatocytes. Now this stage of steatohepatitis is followed by the stage of steatofibrosis. You know that all chronic inflammations result in fibrosis. So the last stage here in fatty liver disease is also steatofibrosis. Now in steatofibrosis, when the fibrotic tissue develops, it firstly develops around the centrilobular area, resulting in central vein sclerosis. So if this is the centrilobular area, then fibrosis or fibrotic tissue first appears here, and here the fibrotic tissue shrinks to cause compression of central vein, that is known as central vein sclerosis or narrowing of the central vein. So remember that in stage of steatofibrosis, the fibrosis firstly develops in the centrilobular area. Then as the condition progresses, you also see perisinusoidal scarring in the space of DC. So here this is a hepatocyte lobule. You know that this is the central vein, and at the corner there are portal tracts that contain the portal venule. Now this central vein is connected to the portal venule through a capillary-like channel that is known as hepatic sinusoid. Now surrounding this hepatic sinusoid is a space that is known as space of DC. So what happens, that scarring starts to develop in this space of DC, and this scarring spreads outward and encircle hepatocytes in a chicken wire fence pattern. So what happens is that this perisinusoidal scarring progresses to encircle hepatocytes, and this makes a pattern that resembles a chicken wire fence. So we call this as chicken wire fence pattern. Now as the condition further progresses, it results in central to portal fibrous septa. Central to portal fibrous septa means that the fibrosis appears as a bridge between central vein and portal tract. This is known as central to portal fibrous septa. So in steatofibrosis, firstly the fibrosis occurs in the centrilobular area, then the fibrosis occurs in perisinusoidal area and progress outwards and encircle hepatocytes in a chicken wire fence pattern. So here the chicken wire fence pattern will be visible, and as the condition progresses further, you see bridge of fibrosis between central vein and portal tracts that are known as central to portal fibrous septa. Now this stage of steatofibrosis does not end here. Rather, it ultimately results in cirrhosis. You know that the ultimate end product of every liver injury is cirrhosis. So this steatofibrosis also progresses to the cirrhosis, and we have already discussed the morphological features of cirrhosis in a separate video. But here there are few specific points that are specific to fatty liver disease. So how does the cirrhosis appears in fatty liver disease? The cirrhosis in fatty liver disease is micronodular. Micronodular cirrhosis means that the nodules of regenerating hepatocytes in cirrhosis are smaller than 0.3 cm in diameter or smaller than 3 mm. This is known as micronodular cirrhosis, also known as Lennox cirrhosis. So the important point here is the distinction between micronodular cirrhosis and macronodular cirrhosis. We are discussing here that in fatty liver disease, the pattern is micronodular cirrhosis, also known as Lennox cirrhosis. And where did we discuss the macronodular cirrhosis? The macronodular cirrhosis actually occurs in chronic viral hepatitis. So remember this important point. And here I would also like to share an important information that this term Lennox cirrhosis was originally used for the fatty liver disease that was caused by alcohol. So Lennox cirrhosis was the term originally used for alcoholic fatty liver disease. But now they have come to know that even in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the morphology is very similar. So they consider non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and fatty liver disease both in the category of Lennox cirrhosis. So remember, the micronodules are smaller than 0.3 cm or smaller than 3 mm, and they are characteristic of fatty liver disease. And here in the cirrhosis of fatty liver disease, the end stage results in a burned out phase. What is the burned out phase? Burned out phase means that fatty change may not be apparent. You know that in the sequence of fatty liver disease, we discussed that the earliest change was the hepatocellular steatosis, in which you see vacuoles of fat inside the hepatocytes. But obviously in the end stage of this sequence, where everything has been replaced by cirrhosis, you might not see any fatty change at all. So remember that in the burned out phase of the end stage, you might not see any fatty change at all. So this is the cirrhosis in fatty liver disease, that is micronodular or Laennec cirrhosis. Remember these points. Now let's summarize the microscopic features of fatty liver disease. In fatty liver disease, the initial stage is hepatocellular steatosis, in which you see vacuoles of fat inside the cytoplasm of hepatocytes. These vesicles can be small microvesicular or large macrovesicular. Then this progresses into the stage of steatohepatitis, in which you see foci of hepatocyte ballooning that progresses to necrosis. You see Mallory-Dank bodies that are eosinophilic cytoplasmic inclusions, and you see neutrophilic infiltration around the degenerated hepatocytes, along with neutrophils, lymphocytes and macrophages may be present. Thirdly, you see steatofibrosis, in which the fibrosis first appears in the centrilobular area, then it appears in the perisinusoidal area, and this perisinusoid scarring then spreads outward to encircle hepatocytes in a chicken wire fence pattern, and then the fibrosis progresses to the central to portal fibrous septa. And as the fibrosis progresses further, it results in cirrhosis. This cirrhosis is specifically micronodular or Laennec cirrhosis, in which the nodules are smaller than 0.3 cm or smaller than 3 mm. And at last we discussed that in burned out phase, the fatty change may not be apparent because there is so much extensive fibrosis that the earlier changes might not be apparent. Now here comes an important point, that what is cryptogenic cirrhosis? Now we call the cirrhosis as cryptogenic when the cirrhosis is there but no etiology can be identified. And now the most cases of cryptogenic cirrhosis are being recognized as burned out non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now let me explain this point, that most cases of cryptogenic cirrhosis are now recognized as burnt out non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So the problem is that in cases of burnt out stage of fatty liver disease where there is extensive cirrhosis, it is very difficult to determine whether the cirrhosis was caused by viral hepatitis, autoimmune hepatitis or the disease which we are currently discussing, fatty liver disease. Now if the fatty liver disease is being caused by alcohol, it is very easy to recognize it because the patient will simply give you the history of alcoholic consumption for a long period of time. But the problem is with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that is caused by multifactorial reasons or multiple risk factors such as diabetes, obesity or metabolic syndrome. All of these risk factors are not very specific. So if non-alcoholic fatty liver disease has progressed to the stage of burnt out cirrhosis, it is very difficult to determine what is the etiology. And now the point is that due to the extensive studies that are performed, it has now been recognized that most cases of cryptogenic cirrhosis were caused by non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So this is the point, that most cases of cryptogenic cirrhosis are actually due to the burned out non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now let me share the gross features in fatty liver disease. So in fatty liver disease, in the earlier stage of steatosis, the liver appears large, yellow and greasy. Why it appears large? It appears large due to the accumulation of fat. And why it appears yellow and greasy? Again, it is logical that it is due to the accumulation of fat. Now in the stage of fibrosis, you see micronodular cirrhosis, as I already discussed, that the nodules in fatty liver are small in size, less than 3 mm or less than 0.3 cm, that are known as micronodular cirrhosis or Laennec cirrhosis. So this concludes the pathological features of fatty liver disease.